the news here at 5:30. We're joined by Buffalo's acting mayor, Chris Scanlon, for the monthly Ask the Mayor segments.
Mayor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I missed you last month. Good to be back.
Yes. Okay, I'm holding my trusty iPad here because I am going to read a statement. We know that the comptroller, Barbara Williams, did not issue tens of millions of dollars in bonds. That stalled an entire construction season for the city of Buffalo. She finally responded today. There was a lawsuit involved. The judge, he was on the side of the city in this, and she said today, I will act in accordance with the law while continuing to explore all lawful avenues of judicial review available to my office. I will continue to evaluate every measure necessary to prevent future generations from bearing the burden of today's fiscal choices. That ending there. She's going to do everything to prevent future generations from bearing the burden of today's fiscal choices. She is saying the choices of the city and the Common Council are not great, so she's not doing this. But we lost an entire construction season. What is this doing? And we asked this last week to Mitch Nowakowski. What is this doing to the city of Buffalo?
It's wreaking havoc. And, you know, if you want to talk about the impact of decisions that someone's making, it's the negative impacts of the decisions that the comptroller's making that are going to impact Buffalonians and taxpayers for years to come. You know, you lost an entire construction season. The projects that we were not able to lock in place are going to cost millions and millions of dollars more. If you look at that statement, it explores the possibility of her appealing. If she were to appeal, that would cost the taxpayers time and additional dollars. So if anyone's impacting the financial burden of the taxpayers of the city of Buffalo, it's the comptroller and her actions.
I followed up. I had some follow-up questions for the comptroller. Spoke with Barbara earlier this afternoon and was curious more about the timing of her response. It was our understanding, as our journalists have been reporting on this case, that the judge required immediate response by the comptroller. That has not happened because she says she will respond. When I asked her about that, to provide specifics, will it be next week? Will it be next month? She said the court provides 30 days, and she intends to take that 30 days. That means that's another month of work not being done, bonds not going out. What does that do logistically to your ability to lead the city?
A number of things. You know, if you drag this out another month, listen, the comptroller has a month to appeal. I think it's very irresponsible if the comptroller does appeal. The state Supreme Court was very clear in where they stood. But what this does is it drags things out longer. And projects not getting started, projects not getting locked in place, cost added to these projects. Everyone knows about the market conditions currently. And every day that goes by, these projects cost more and more. In addition to that, we are in the process of the 2026 capital budget. And it's very difficult to prepare for that budget next year and the 4-year plan going outward without knowing what we're doing right now. So like I said earlier, it's wreaked havoc on the capital process, and it's been incredibly irresponsible in my estimation.
You have top legal outside counsel representing you in this. How much has that cost the taxpayer?
I don't have that exact dollar amount. We can get that to you. But I've stated from the beginning, it's very unfortunate that we had to go the route of legal action. It is not something that I wanted to do. But if you read the charter very clearly, it lays out this situation word for word, that if the mayor proposes and the council authorizes a budget in excess of the comptroller's recommended cap, the comptroller is to advise the council why he or she does not think it would be a good idea. Not the comptroller can pick and choose the projects or pick and choose how much. That is not how the charter is laid out. So not only was it important to go the legal route for this current situation in the 2025 capital budget, but to set the precedent for future years so that this can't happen again and, again, negatively impact the taxpayers of the city of Buffalo.
The comptroller, has said that she is trying to prevent fiscal crises of future generations from handling this result if she were to follow the Common Council's and your directives. But at the end of the day, how much are we talking about this fiscal impact on the city of Buffalo that is already struggling financially? You're losing jobs, you're losing people, and now this is costing more money. How do you recover? And do you believe that she is really standing by the fiscal aspect of this and it's not another reason?
Dave, I've been very diplomatic throughout all of this. Yeah. It makes no sense whatsoever what she's saying. The comptroller set a cap at $28 million. We passed a capital budget for $110. The $82 million difference is completely reimbursed by New York State and the Buffalo Public Schools. The only addition to the $28 million would be the cost of issuance of that bonds, which was about $800,000, which I was very clear to the comptroller I would remove something from the capital budget, the other $28 million, to move that underneath that $28 million. But instead of doing that, the comptroller went out and borrowed $29.5 million, in excess of the cap she's talking about. So everything she's doing is arbitrary. It is not rooted in much sense, and it's really detrimental to the city of Buffalo.
We'll continue to wait to hear from her. Let's move along here. Heritage Point, according to our reporting, was supposed to restart that construction last week. I know this is, a state project, but it's really impacting the city of Buffalo here and our residents. Do you know if it's restarted? Do you have any update there?
From what we've been told, is not restarted. We've asked for an update on it. It's a lot of back and forth between the developer and the state. I've been very clear for a long time about how important I think that project's completion is to the city of Buffalo. That project started just prior to COVID. COVID kind of shut it down for a little bit, then the market situation afterward and other financial issues have stalled it. But I've been very clear that I think that project is very important. It's a key indication to saying, listen, COVID is long behind us. Yeah. We are back in business here in the city of Buffalo. We are completing this project. We are moving forward. So I think it's a key indicator of where we stand, and getting that across the finish line is very important. So we've reached out for an update, and we're waiting for that.
We have seen some progress on the parking ramps downtown. Some of them are getting facelifts. They're getting some repairs and getting ready to be sold. What is the latest relative to the establishment of a parking authority and putting those actual ramps up on the market?
Yeah, so the parking authority is moving along. The appointments to the parking authority board were in front of the council today. They moved them out of committee to full council for next week, where we anticipate them being approved. Major steps so that board can start meeting. The title and survey work, that is under contract and being completed. The appraisal work will follow shortly after that. That we can directly solicit for. Will be under the threshold where we'd have to go an RFP. So we can directly solicit for people to do that work, which would only take a few days. So that'll be a quick turnaround on that. And we'll have everything ready to go for 2026, where the authority can then bond out for the money to buy those ramps from the city of Buffalo with a large infusion of cash to help us in the short order, but also make sure that we continue to receive that yearly revenue from them so it doesn't hurt us in the long term.
Adrienne Garr was announced as the first ever executive director of the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. What do you think of her idea to create a roundtable and then that youth advisory board?
Yeah, this is something I'm extremely excited about. I talked about this during my State of the City address, something we wanted to accomplish and fill. We had more than 24 applicants, had to go through that process, but Adrienne's a phenomenal choice. She's going to do a phenomenal job. She comes from a long history of working in the community, her position with SNUG. The thing I'm most excited about is her ability to bring together the groups that she's worked with in the past, and leverage those relationships and create different partnerships to help the city of Buffalo in the long term. But when it comes to being out in the community, I think that's key. I think that's the #1 priority. We've got to be out and talking to the community. And it's not just about gun violence, but it's about the things that lead to gun violence. Poverty, education, things like that, that she's going to work on as well with all the different partners to make sure that we're getting at people at a younger age and deterring them from ever picking up a weapon.
Do you think, if we could switch now gears to some development here, over the weekend, the Buffalo News did a larger story, talking extensively with developer Douglas Jamal. He had some very strong frustrations expressed, the strongest that he has to his investment in the city of Buffalo and beyond, of course. And we're not talking just about the city of Buffalo. We're talking about Boulevard Mall, other properties. But certainly there are significant developments in the city. Yeah. Do you share that frustration, and what do you think the city of Buffalo could do to either extend an olive branch, extend a hand, help with a grant? What can be done to maybe repair that, or perhaps?
Yeah, I would say I was a little frustrated by the story. I've been in City Hall for 13 and a half years. I don't really recall a time where, whether it's the former administration or mine or my time on the Common Council, where the city hasn't been supportive of Mr. Jamal and his projects. We've seen a couple of them accomplished, some completed that are tremendous. Yeah. Some still in the pipeline, still being worked on. But, a lot of finger pointing going on, which is very unfortunate. I don't think that's how you get things done. I think you get things done by getting back together and working on what you have to. I know it's pointing at local and state leaders. I think the governor's been very supportive of development here in the city of Buffalo, whether it's through some of the agencies or otherwise, being very helpful. But, there's the finger pointing taking place, but the other thing that's not being talked about is kind of at the macro level is the market conditions, which if you talk to anyone in the lending institutions or development community, that's what's really holding a lot of this up, is that the market conditions. But the city of Buffalo has been very supportive of Mr. Jamal and will continue to be. He might not be bullish on Buffalo anymore. I am. My administration is. I think a lot of people are, and we're willing to work with him to accomplish anything we can.
All right. hopefully we can hear from Doug Jamal ourselves as well. Mayor, we thank you for coming.
Thank
in.
you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.